You don't tell them any of this, and it's like, everybody write me a monk. Unarmed combat only, monks, no equipment. Session 1, you guys are in combat, and then you just have this whole combat where you just meet Grinder until they have their final characters, and then you just go through this very big narrative description of their characters being birthed.
Well, they'd be finding a static object in that case, right? And the first one to get through that wall wins.
Welcome to Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones. I'm Sav.
I'm Nix.
And I'm Greythorn.
Long pause for name. And today's topic is... No, it's a critical success. That's so funny.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's so funny as we're fudging the topic because today's topic is nothing. Today's topic is we're just gonna ramble. We're gonna ramble post-show style.
Yeah. I just wanted
about
to
TTRPGs.
I just wanted to
be
try
that
it.
much different from some episodes.
I mean, while we try to stay on the TTRPG topic, usually it's so out in the weeds that it probably to any audience members doesn't feel like a topic-driven show anyways. You had something you wanted to start us off with?
I was working on
No, I don't like that.
Well, okay.
Gray, you start us off with something else.
I was working on the buddy cop thing. I was putting a little bit more time into it.
This is a buddy cop adventure that we're going to play on the show at some point.
Yeah. And one of the things that I was thinking of, one of the things I was like, in terms of like trying to flesh out is like that initial, like trying to build intrigue into a game, trying to build like not just a plot point, not just a thing for like, when my characters start the game, there is this thing that I want them to, this is going to get the ball rolling.
Sure.
But it's like, how do I make it so like, how do I layer things so like there's mysteries where like, how do I get it so my players are like, because it's like trying to like, it felt like I was chasing my own tail at some point, and then it hit me of like, I can build the plot where I have this point. I have this thing that's happening. It is like this dramatic scene that we're going to see. Like, where do I go from there to make it more interesting for my players? So it's like, okay, well, now if I add this layer, well, how do I make my players care about that layer? And so in my head, I was like, what if I connect these to my characters or to my players' characters? Like if I make things relevant to their history, like just creating these kind of like backstory points.
Sure.
Kind of like a little bit like you did with G&G, which is like we played a little bit of our backstories.
Yeah.
So at least in my mind, it's like I don't know how or if you guys have tried to build like intrigue in a story or like mystery into a story. Like,
I mean, always, yeah.
Yeah, I was just, it's, to me, it was just like a fun little exploration of just like, but not, at least not mystery in the same and intrigue in the same way that like the Realm Watcher stuff, because that was always like a thing in the world.
No, just like points of intrigue that lead to things.
Yeah, and also like making it relevant to the players. Like, at least Realm Watchers was always the mystery and the intrigue was like a thing happening outside of the players, outside of the characters. It's like a thing happened in the world and try to figure out where the connection pieces were to that part in the world. And there's not a whole lot that has to do with your characters. Like your characters.
Oh yeah, we were almost no backstory in Realm Watchers.
Yeah. So it was just like fun exploring like, what if this character, that this thing that they're doing is related to your character? Like it was just a fun moment to have, to be like, I'm trying to figure out a way to like not spoil it.
Sure.
And like think of like, let me think of something that I was thinking about that I could like throw away to like involve kind of like an idea. But it was like, let's say it's like a childhood friend of the character. And like you go to a spot and something crazy happens in the spot. And then you find out that, your childhood friend was in this area. And then like, now it, at least to me, it like creates this like, maybe your character now wants to go to the area where the last time they saw their friend.
Sure.
And that takes him here. And then how do you building out from there?
I mean, when trying to intrigue players, if they have a backstory and there is a way to relate it, it's a wonderful way to do it. I have one of my campaigns is, unbeknownst to the players, at least when they start, a criminal druid guild.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my player characters comes from a family of like half sorcerer, half druid. Mom's a druid, dad's a sorcerer, and they're not sure what happened to their family as part of their backstory. And I was like, and like their brother's supposed to be in this town that they're in. And I know they're looking for them. And I was like, oh, easy way to incorporate it is the brother. It also is just like an easy hint that like, oh, this is a druid circle, the criminal cult. They think it's a cult. Is like, oh yeah, the brother. It also makes it more complicated of trying to navigate it. Is the brother gets involved. So the brother is otherwise a good guy.
Sure.
So why would the brother get involved with the cult? And immediately when there's any hints or clues that come up in the campaign, they're still pretty early in the campaign. But when there's any hints or clues that like, oh, the brother's somehow involved, immediately that player character is going to be hooked on the campaign. And it has nothing to do with my campaign overall.
Sure.
Like the campaign was written before the backstory.
Sure.
But that's an easy way to, if you have backstory to drag in, that's a great way to do it. Oftentimes the way I do it, is not directly related to the backstory, but like inspired by backstory. If I know my player is a very honorable or honor-bound paladin, have something that just screams honor in a little intrigue point of interest that they stumble across, and it's like they're immediately going to want to do it because they're that way. You know what I mean? Or like if I have a chaotic criminal type rogue character, and it's like, oh yeah, you see a drug handoff or something like that, and immediately I know they're going to be hooked to it because that's the kind of character that they're playing, which isn't directly backstory. It's more like personality.
Sure.
I think mostly what I do is try to latch on to character personality rather than backstory. But when you can do backstory, that's easily the most intriguing thing for any player is like, me? This is important to me?
It was just like a thing as I was putting it together. I was like, I know you guys are, we've been playing with each other for a long time. And it's like, I know you guys are going to give the story as much attention as possible.
Oh, even if you didn't make it important to us.
Yeah, even if I didn't personalize it in any way, you guys are still going to give me your full effort of like, you guys are going to play the characters, you're going to play the story, and whatever.
Well, it sounds like you're going to do one of the things that I've tried to do and failed so many times. It's worked once, actually, in the campaign I'm just talking about, which is like starting the players off in a situation where they're not in the hook. The hook has not been presented to them yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, find the hook. And I'm obviously guiding them to the hook. It's the campaign that I want to play. It's the campaign they signed up for. I told them in session 0 what the hook is. But when we actually start the game, they haven't been hooked.
Sure.
And it has burned multiple times where like I finally present the hook and they're like, nah, we want to go left. And it's like, but that's the campaign. What do you mean no? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the risk that you run. But if you trust your players and they know they're being dumped into a situation where a hook is going to be presented, then they're waiting to chomp at the bit to hook onto a hook. And like, especially with people that are respectful to you, that you trust, it is going to work out well. And I'm excited for you to dump us into a situation where we are just buddy cops. I imagine the first hour of our role playing is going to have nothing to do with any campaigns at all, and then we're going to find something and be like, "Oh shit, we need to investigate."
I mean, I'm going to steal your open for G&G. I'm going to do like a narrative piece for both of your characters in terms of like, here's kind of a snapshot moment of your history without having necessarily a targeted end goal in that like that session 0 thing. Like it's kind of gonna have a point to it. And
Have you already written it, or can I give suggestions?
I'm like mid-writing, so if you give any suggestions,
I would suggest for my character it not being overwhelmingly traumatic. I think for my character being the young rookie, he's almost supposed to be a level of innocent. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah, I'm not.
Ignorant. He's supposed to be ignorant.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything like fucking like murder your wife in front of you.
Yeah. Like G&G. That was all of the G&G backstories were traumatic.
See, let's see. Nix, you had a wife or a mother or a girlfriend. Well, they're dead. Right in front of you, they're dead.
Oh, so you wake up in the morning and you're in bed with somebody that you have spent the last 2 years with, that you're madly in love with, and you hold them tight and you give them a kiss on the side of the cheek and you go back to bed. And then the morning sunlight starts to warm the side of your cheek and you notice that you're no longer holding her in front of you. And you can smell the smell of burning flesh.
That was literally my mom's character in G&G, Shara, was like, oh, you're like 17, you are riding horses and painting landscapes in beautiful valleys with your fiance who's the mayor's son or whatever. Then you get come upon by bad guys or whatever, and then they literally just pop your fiance in front of you, blood sprays all over you. And I went like super slow and deep RP with all of it. Blood sprays all over you, and at this time in your life, you are an innocent, like, small town kid. Like, you don't have a character sheet. You are not an adventurer at all. This just happens to you, and there are like 5 guys with guns in front of you, and the image of the person who pulled the trigger is burned into your face. And now you can write a backstory. That happened to you. Now you write a backstory. How did you get in the gang? Yeah. Everybody had like pretty tragic and dark, horrible. But I feel like also I was setting up criminals. I was setting up a gang. So like, and rivalry.
Yeah.
That is the arc or the hook of that story was a brutal blood feud rivalry with another Wild West gang. So it made sense that it was all traumatic. I mean, Craze wasn't too traumatic. Bot and Bill, you were in this really cool Western shootout. You were a badass. You won. And then you went to the doctor.
My real enemy was in my lungs.
And then you got tuberculosis. And
yeah, not tragic at all.
Yeah.
It's funny because I have been haunted by like Game of Thrones clips in my shorts feed for the last 4 weeks. I've done it to myself. I've watched a clip and then I watched another one and the algorithm went, well, you want all of them now. And you want the same ones, just slightly edited different by another person. And here's more Game of Thrones clips. It just reminds me of like those hard smash cuts in some of those episodes of Tragedy.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, here's kind of a feudal existence of like this person. And it's like, yeah, their life's hard, but they look happy.
Yeah.
And then in the 30-second, minute-long clip in YouTube, because I've seen it, I know the sad reality of the future of this character.
They descend so hard.
And then it's just like, even in the short, there's this hard cut of tragedy. You're like, God.
Dude,
like, when the show was good, it was so good.
Understanding that anything I pitch means that it can't happen, but I would almost love for my cop in the Buddy Cop one, their little 10-minute backstory clip or whatever playthrough being like, oh, you're a little kid and then this thing happens in front of you and this super honorable hero wearing a badge steps in and saves the day and you are awe-inspired and whatnot, and making it almost like a mundane thing where they're not super heroic, but to the eyes of a kid it is, and that's why my character got into the Force. You know what I mean? It's like just super innocent, wide-eyed kid fascination with serving and protecting and blah blah blah, and then it's just like super dark and gritty for Gray's character. Dark and gritty and horrible. It's like your early days on the Force. Oh, it's just training day, but you're the rookie in a training day situation. And it's just like dark and horrible.
Gray's character is the guy.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny.
Crazy. You like to get wet?
I know you like to get wet, rookie.
King Kong.
King Kong ain't got your shit on me.
But I don't know. It was just like as I was planning out those like zero sessions, it kind of like because I had an idea of like how I was gonna try to hook you guys, or like what the main hook was and what the main story was gonna be, and like, oh, it's gonna be this like this trying to do something like one of the Rush Hour movies where it's like, you know, you have some billionaire who's covering up something and you're like, you know, it's going to lead to this thing. Again, I was just going to straight rip some of the plot points. And then as I was like, I solidified to myself, like, yeah, because from the beginning, I kind of wanted to do the zero sessions.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to do it, like necessarily what I was going to do for it.
Sure.
Because for Gray's character is going to be relatively easy because again, yours is the veteran character.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot to pull from in terms of like, oh, what point in his history I could probably pull something to make something happen.
Yeah.
But your character, Sav's character was like, oh, he's the rookie. How do I make the rookie work? How do I make like a cool, impactful kind of moment in his backstory to make something make sense of like the story of where I want to pick up? Because again, we've already talked about it before. I want to pick up with, this is not that much of a spoiler, but because we've talked about it so many times, was I want Gray's character in the squad car as Sav's characters in a donut shop. And just that's it. That's the pickup.
Oh, that's the start of the campaign. I think that's a great start of the campaign.
Yeah, that's the start of the campaign. That's not the start of the zero sessions will happen.
Yeah.
And then the start of the campaign is that after the zero sessions and just be like, where are we going from here? I'm going to give you the hook. There's going to be a thing that happens to make the game happen.
Sure.
But also I that's where I wanted to start, or at least the beginning of the session. But as I was writing those zeros,
is the mystery starting in the zero session? Is that what you're referring to?
No, it was more of like
You're talking about layered mystery.
In
giving something to hook onto later.
Yeah, in the zero session, creating it.
Yeah.
In one of your guys' zero sessions, I was like,
cool way to do it.
I was like, ooh, what if this happens? And this is this I now have this event. It's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, if I have this happen in this event, I can actually hook that back into the main thing that's happening. And then once it gets revealed that happens, like that's going to kick back to the zero session. And it's be like, ooh, that's great. That's like a great little like connection point. And I was like, oh, like this is going to be fairly obvious. And as soon as my players see this, it's like, oh, that's great. And I think if you had like a much longer form campaign, if you did that, if you like, again, I think those zero session little stories were so fun.
It was a super fun way to start a campaign. Yeah.
If you have something like that reach back into a later point in the game, I feel like it's such a like.
There's so many great things that you can do with home tables that I don't feel like I could do with my paid tables. Like strangers coming to me for the first time. I don't think I could do those zero sessions. Because also, like, a lot of it is like, when I wrote the little 10-minute zero session snippets for you guys, like, I took your guys' personality into account.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I knew putting a damsel would bode well with your character and have a bit of drive, even if they weren't important to you.
Sure.
And leaving it up to you, like, how important they are or aren't. And you made it in an indirect way relatively important.
Yeah.
And then, like, I did that for, like, a bunch of people. You know what I mean? And, like I know a lot of, like, losing everything, I think, for my mom's character, I think made a lot of sense for her character.
Yeah.
And to have her pushed out of innocence into because she's a very like burn it down, just like, well then fuck it kind of person anyways. So like having that happen to her to put her in the situation to build off of that, well then fuck it, you know what I mean, I think worked for her. It's hard to do that with strangers because it's like, I don't know you well enough to know what would work for you.
I mean, even like what Gray joked about, which is like your the ultra tragedy, like I don't know if I unless it's like super specified and super laid out, like if I was to put like a public game to be like, hey, I am willing to and I'm going to play with like ultra tragic storytelling.
Sure.
Just 'cause to me, that like a strange group of a strange table to like do something like
It's bold.
it's bold, and it's I don't know how people would react to it. Like I know you and your table, like you could tell those stories.
I could tell any story I want.
But so as a correction, or not a correction, but a clarification, like any of my repeat customers, I think would be fine.
Sure,
But
yes.
but like strangers coming. So like your online games, Gray, you know these people at this point,
Mhm.
and I think you do have that freedom to do that. You know them well enough to do that, and they trust you well enough that like whatever you want to run, I'm sure they'd be into. You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't surprise me your 0 level campaign if the way that went down, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it wasn't like a bouncing back and forth of ideas on how to accomplish it. It was you going to your players and be like, "Hey guys, I want to run this 0 level campaign."
Yeah.
And then them just being like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah, that's exactly how it went.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we're going to do a mini campaign. You're all 0th level kids.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. And just been like, "Hell yeah." I mean, that's how I am like the with any of the stories that you guys want to tell.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whatever it is, I'm absolutely into. Like any Delta Green shit that you want to do, or like, I mean, we've talked about it before. I love improv. So for me, like, I don't even care about making my own character, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I don't care about optimization at all. So like, if you give me a character, I mean, in the varying degrees of what it would mean to give someone a character, I wouldn't mind at all. If you gave me just a character sheet and a hook, then I could develop a character off of that personality-wise. If you gave me, my backstory and character sheet and all of that, I could still develop at least like personality traits and flaws or whatever that fit within your campaign. If you tell me the campaign hook, my character sheet stats,
Oh yeah.
including an outline of how they're going to level up as they level up and what personality they're supposed to be. I mean, you could even tell me what accent I'm supposed to do. I'm still going to make it my own. So like, I really don't care. For me, that's just like another instance of improv of like, or acting of like, ooh, interesting. What would it be like to play this character? Even if it was outside of characters that I would traditionally write, I would be into it. You know what I mean?
You also seem like a player that's easier to please, or you have a wider palette
Yeah.
for different kinds of games.
I'm willing to get into anything. Yeah.
It's like for using an analogy with hooks, players are kind of like fish, right? I used to go down to Redondo Beach to fish,
Okay.
and there's a lot of mackerel out there. Now, with mackerel, you get a piece of stink bait, you just drop your hook down the pier, and eventually a mackerel will bite. Sometimes you get a sardine.
Yeah.
You cut that mackerel up, use that mackerel as bait, toss it into the water, you'll catch more mackerel.
Yeah. Different bait
take
for different fish.
Anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. They're happy to take.
Oh, I get
anything.
where you're going with it.
You want bonito, you got to cast out further with a feathered hook and a splasher.
Yeah.
And those guys are picky.
Dog, you don't even need a pole. I'll just jump in your boat. I don't care what the hook
You
is.
just shake some keys on your boat. All of a sudden, Sam's just like, "Oh, we're playing a game. Cool."
Rainbow trout, again, you got to be a little smarter.
Wait. So Gray, which one of your characters do you beat on the head with a stick? We were talking about fish, though.
Well, I mean, that's the only way to handle a fish once it's out of water.
Yeah. The answer is all of them. Beat all of your players down.
I mean, yeah. It's again. It's talking about the whole like whatever building layers in your storytelling, but it's like I know with you guys, it's like Gray was saying, you're gonna jump in the boat, like no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
And, you will too, Gray. Like
Mhm.
you just because it's
There's
that's part of the fun.
There's still a level of prefacing. There's such a strong idea within the TTRPG community of the necessity for mystery and players to hold on to information and not reveal themselves to NPCs or even their fellow players, and especially not their DM. There's that common trope of like you're playing against the DM. And personally, I just think that's entirely false. Like I think above table talk is fine to a degree of like when you're trying to do planning, sometimes like do a little bit in character, but like if the planning's taken a while, just pull it above table and like just be like, hey, as a player, I'm interested in doing this storyline.
Yeah.
Are you guys cool with that? You know what I mean? I think that's fine. And then also like as a DM, even with players that you trust, like us, like as long as there's a little bit of prefacing, yeah, we're gonna be into anything. So like if you're like, hey, we're gonna start off and you guys are free roam, just fuck around. I'm going to put stuff in front of you, and that will be the hook for the campaign. And then we know we're looking for a hook. You know what I mean? We don't need to know anything about the hook. We don't need to know the story. We know we're looking for the hook. And we're never going to be like, well, my character wouldn't play through that story. You know what I mean? Because we know what your intentions are. You've told us what your intentions are. So I think as long as you preface your players with relatively what's going on, yeah, there should be a level of just being willing to jump in the boat and fucking play the game.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It could be, I don't know what you have written, but the buddy cop thing, like, yeah, it could be dark and gritty, or it could be just a string of silly chaos. And like, you'll set the tone, and we'll know that. And you'll put the hook in front of us, and like, there could even be a little wink, wink. This is the hook. And it's like, yeah, cool. All of a sudden, my character's super into figuring this out.
I mean, again, I think it's I don't know. I only know from your stories, from Sov's stories, and even some of Gray's, where like with working with again outside of your friend group, strangers, where like for the most part, my whole experience with all TTRPGs and even how I go, it's like everyone just wants to have fun. As long as the environment is set up where people can have fun and have a good time and like not get too bogged down about like the statistics and like the rules of the game. Like the rules of the game help facilitate your interaction with the world and your DM and with your other players.
Yeah.
But like as long as like everyone's there to have a good time, like people are going to have a great time. People are going to have fun. And like even like sorry, one of the things that you were saying earlier, which is like if you get given a character sheet, the backstory, blah, blah, blah. Like, I would have a great time in that space too.
Yeah.
One, because some of your ideas, some of Sov's ideas have been, it's usually not directed towards me, but it's some of your ideas have always been like, oh, I have this world, I have this character. Gray, you're going to love this character. I have this character.
It's almost always Gray too, where I'm like, I really want Gray to play this character.
Because there's been, I think, a couple of different ideas, or maybe
the biggest, strongest one, and it's funny because it's the same idea, but for multiple campaigns, is one, if I ever get back to writing what became G&G, the Space Mercs system, if I ever get back to writing it, the campaign that I want to run is you guys are space mercenaries. And you guys, you have guns and maybe low magic, or maybe you're melee, or maybe you're a healer, or like a medic, not a healer. Maybe you're a medic, maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're a soldier, like a marine, or something like that. And that's, for the most part, that's what I want everybody at the table to be thinking. And then I want to go to Gray and be like, hey, you are essentially what would be a D&D level 20 wizard, and you can pull from any spell lists. You have no slots, like unlimited. I don't care. Any spells that you want to cast, and any system that would be equivalent to D&D level 20, you can use that level of power. But also, you hate everybody in your party, will find some reason why you're tagging along with them, and you are just utterly not helpful.
Which is
And I
funny
think
because
it'd be great for
his
that.
sword and board is also. the
So that's
same-
what I was going to
Yes.
say. Is there's
Same
two
thing,
campaigns?
but
The
also
sword and board,
gray.
I want the exact same
You're
thing.
super magical, and you could blow everything and everyone up.
Yeah, everybody else is sword and board, no magic at all. Sword and board, and Gray, I want you to be an overpower wizard that is unhelpful. That's what I want. I want you to watch people struggle to fight bandits, and then like if it ever comes down to it, where there's like they're like storming your little castle or something like that, and your party's like, oh, we are overwhelmed, and there is no way in any world that we will be able to live through this fight. Please, Gray, please save us. And then you go, fine. And then you just like call a meteor shower and destroy the entire army that's coming after the castle, and then hold it above everybody's heads forever. Essentially, you guys do have the answer, always.
Yeah.
And the answer is Gray as a wizard. He just never lets you have it. He seldom lets you have it.
Yeah.
I love it. You guys got to figure out how to like sneak into a building or whatever. Meanwhile, Gray could just be like, if he wanted to, just like, oh, all of the doors are unlocked in this
I'm
building.
like the unhelpful DMPC.
Yeah. Exactly like that. I want you to be the unhelpful, grumpy DMPC that is just like, oh, I could just heal you. Instead, you guys need to find a doctor.
Those wounds look pretty bad. You know, I could fix that, but
I got this thing under my nail. that
yeah,
I
there's a
really-
noodle shop over there.
And there would most certainly be a noodle shop.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also like, I know our next, at least we've talked about it, like one of our next long form campaigns we want to play would be Gray Lead. And like, in that same vein, like as much as like in this moment talking about like you have characters that like you have Gray in mind.
Sure.
If you gave me a character sheet, I'd be like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
totally down.
Oh, and I would
same thing-
absolutely be happy to write a character that I think it would be interesting for you to play.
And the same thing with Gray. Like if Gray is like, oh, I have this idea for this world or whatever, this like moment, this snapshot in my world. Like I need you guys to be these characters, or like however of an amount of the character. I'd be like, yeah, totally done.
Yeah.
Like whatever you want. Let's go. Let's ride.
Oh, I have a campaign that I've stopped talking about with you guys because I want you to forget about it because I've become very interested in writing about it again. But there's a particular character that's really important. And I think both of you would be actually good in that role.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially the guide.
Sure.
And we've talked about it before, so I'll be vague about it because I don't want to refresh your guys' memory. But basically, there would be a character that is essentially the main character. The quest is for that character
I remember
to
everything about it.
do something. But then there's another character who, for reasons, would know relatively everything about the world. Just everything. And I would genuinely give you like my notes on everything in different versions of it being condensed. So like if you guys want to read a 40-page fucking document, you can. Otherwise, I can give you the highlights. Or we could even do it simpler where like you get to a place and make a history check and I'll just tell you about it. And I don't care. I'll say it above table, but the idea is that your character would know those things. I think both of you guys would fit that role very well.
Yeah.
I would love to get my mom back at the table because the main character that I have for that story, I think she would actually play very well.
Mm.
But yeah, I love writing stories that have characters written for them.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. And like generally I don't write personality. Like I gave you guys that session 0 for G&G. I told you something that happened to you, but I let you play through it for one. I thought that was important. And then like when you guys wrote your characters, like, yeah, you guys wrote whatever your personality is, any other background you wanted to write around that, blah, blah, blah. And even for this story, I would be happy to work with everybody except for the main character. Actually, there's 2 characters. But I would be happy to work with you guys like on the guide of what your life was until this quest came upon you and why you would be interested in it and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not trying to write the character. I'm trying to write the role the role within the party
Sure.
for that one. But yeah, I could absolutely see writing a character for you.
It's so funny because like I was thinking about it right now, which is like we really got to get our guild doc of Realm Watchers out so people could just look at it and like see what we're talking about. But like I feel like our time, our like year and a half, 2 years or whatever playing Realm Watchers, I got like a lot of the like lemon squeezed. You know, still is a lot more juice there, but like I got a lot of that squeezed out of me of like exploring the mechanics of 5e and like how to build fun ideas of characters.
Oh, I think
like,
Realm Watchers is like, it's such a fascinating way to explore a system. Beyond it just being a fun way to play a campaign, it's a fun way to explore a system because it is like Westward March. So you could tell very many different stories in very many different ways, but then also super brutal. So your characters are going to consistently die, and then you have to write new ones, and you're going to play with different classes, different species, different mechanics in general. It's such a fascinating way to explore a system, is to just have a high turnover of characters.
Yeah, and even if you're super successful with your character, their success would mean they eventually go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get
they rank
promoted
up.
out of play.
Yeah.
Because we played at a certain level, and if you surpass that level, yeah, that's cool. That character goes on in the world at that level, but you are in a campaign that runs at this level, so you got to write a new character.
I got something else I could tell off, but I don't know if you.
Well, before we do that,
yeah,
I think we should turn to our loot table
let's do it.
for this mess that's about to happen.
Here we go.
We still have one of those.
Let's get hyped.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you know, it's playing right now. This is what the loot table is.
Let's go and see who our sponsors will be. Come on. Let's go. Let's go roll on the loot table.
Let's go on the loot table.
I don't know
So much
when I will.
enthusiasm.
I feel like I will at some point get tired of that music. But it's not now.
We can update it.
You know what I'm saying? It's not now and it's not today. And it won't be for a while.
So today's sponsor is a 19. What's a 19, Gray?
19. Well, that would be Griffin Go. Adventurers. Have you ever walked into town looking for a new job to pass the time or fill your pocket with change? And you come across an old man who looks wise and beyond his years, and he tells you, "Oh, I have a job for you." And you go, "Yes, well, I am looking for a job." He tells you, "I need you to travel to the mountains of Moria to fetch this thingamabob and bring it back to me within 5 days."
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
And you're like, "You know what, old man? You got it. I'm traveling to those mountains. I'm going to get the thingamabob, and I'll be back here in 5 days. I'm on it." And then you realize, as you're walking towards Moria, and people are just passing you by on their horses and their carts and their carriages, and you realize you're not traveling very fast. No, in fact, you're quite slow, and you're not even going to make it back in 5 days. Well, the solution is but one click away with Griffin Go. Griffin Go is the ride-sharing service for the needy adventurer who lacks a hoof or a wheel. With just the offer of 5 feathers worth 5 silver, you can hire yourself a magical broom that will take you for where you need to go. Still need more speed? Well, you can upgrade to Griffin X. Griffin X supplies you with the self-driving, fully sentient Griffin companion that will fly you from point A to point B, wherever that may go. Now, those people passing you up in those horses, well, the Griffin's going to eat those horses. But you'll get there very fast. I promise.
You're good at that too. Griffin Go.
Griffin Go.
Fly like the griffins of today on the brooms of tomorrow.
I was trying to think of ways to punch that up. You did such a good job.
Yeah, you didn't need to.
Dude,
It was great.
That was crazy how good that was. From the beginning, literally, you lost me. When you first started going, I was like, did he forget? We did like a whole pre-show about like what the ad was. And like, he's just going off the rails. He's just doing whatever he wants. Like, oh, cool. Let's ride, let it go out. Let's see what we're gonna pick up. And then as soon as she said like the wizard gave you a quest to go places, I was like, oh, he's had it the whole time. He's had it the whole time. This guy he's a fucking madman. He's a genius.
It felt prepared.
Dude, that was crazy.
That's the thing about, being a good GM is you sleep through your week. You work at your day job, and then you sleep the rest of the time, and then your session comes up, and you're like, oh shit, what are we doing? Griffin go. There's a wizard. You have 5 days. Oh, you're walking? You're not fast enough. Oh, there's a broom on the side of the road. Do you have 5 feathers worth 5 silvers? Those are expensive feathers, by the way.
They're like gilded feathers.
Gilded feathers.
The crazy thing is like, oh man, I've been spending. I spent like a good chunk of time like thinking of like an intrigue and a hook in this story. That's what I brought up. Fucking Grey beat me in this. He fucking hooked me. Fucking with fucking 3 seconds
I think
of
you
improv.
got to start off the improv now. Bam.
Bam. Nailed it.
That was good.
I'm just saying, you wrote most of the ads, then we stopped having ads written, and we started having to improv, and it was only fair that me and Nix picked up the reins, but also it's been a while, so, you do it.
I just have to remember to approach the ads that way. The ad isn't like or the best way to approach it, following Gray's method, is like tell a weird story.
Yeah.
That you kind of travel back into what the goal of the ad is.
Yeah.
Because I always think so product first, like whatever the thing is. But like, dude, that was so good. Just to go like, take a little stroll. Take a little stroll at the ad. Go somewhere else. Talk about this other thing. And then we'll come back to it. Don't worry about it.
I saw like a thing about like rappers and how to start
Just
like
a cipher.
improv rapping, and it's like, oh, like think about the rhyme but don't start with it, and like think about other things and then get there. Like if you want to rhyme with I'm looking at a hat, look at something else like a vape and start there, and then get it to the word hat. And that's kind of, start in some weird fucking story and figure out how to drag it back into a product.
I'm sorry, Gray. You're just good at this,
That my Friday campaign is so book oriented, and like at this point I was joking with them of like, I don't think I've ever had another game ask me for a book, and at this point,
you mean sorry,
like books in game,
like
books
of the world,
books of the world, and at this point they've asked for so many books and they want to know what's in the books. And I've just improv so many books and then like taken notes and whatnot. And then, quickly in the background wrote a little like table of contents or whatever. And at this point, I probably have like 40 pages worth of text of just fantasy books. I'm just going to start releasing those.
You should, yeah. You should.
They're all in world too, so this is just lore. Like it would be like if I ever wrote a world setting for one of my worlds, it would be fun as like just like a little free like live service update. Just a little free, just release like, here's a book that exists in the world. It's also almost always history that they ask for.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's a weird history of how dwarves got to the island.
I mean, I think depending on how much of it you have, like I think that'd be a cool send off for your players. Like when and if the players decide that you guys are done with the story that you're telling, you want to move on to something else, like to give the players that. You're like, here's all the books you wanted, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's
the
books
document of all of the books you guys read.
I've always wanted to do that with you, or like a lot of it's a mess, But I have like had the thought of sharing some of my like the Lord's Fall documents.
Yeah,
that I
the
have.
notes.
Like all the notes and a lot of the stuff that I was keeping track of and all that stuff. It's just like right now it's dispersed in like 20 different documents.
Yeah.
So it's just like a big mess, but also like, yeah, like I've never done it, but like, yeah, I don't mind like, here's just like what was leading to Lord's Fall and all the things that was in it.
Well, it's also great, like, after. I love making new worlds, but the worlds really get life breathed into them as I'm improving in front of a table.
Yeah.
So for me, I think my worlds, like playing in my worlds, is where I get most of the lore because someone asks me a question and I just give them an answer.
Yeah.
And I hadn't thought about that part of it before. And then now I have like literally, not that this is important at all, but like in my current Sunday campaign, one of the characters wanted to wander around and look for things because they sleep for a shorter amount of time than other player characters. And I was like, cool, what would you have been looking for? I wanted to get through it quick because I don't want to play while everybody's asleep. But I was like, what would you have been looking for? And they're like, oh, I don't know, like a landmark or something. And I'm like, okay, are you more into like history or magic or religion? They were like, oh, maybe history. And I was like, okay, yeah, well, you're in a port city and you find this bar. It looks like it was a temple at one point. It's been converted. As you go into it, there's like paintings that line the wall. All of them look like maybe important figures. And then I started just talking about the important figures, giving them an idea of the demographic of the city. And then I also said like, oh, there's also like paintings of the skyline. And it's paintings of the skyline. There's like 3 different ones. And it's clearly like over the years. Like one of them's super old. One of them's like kind of old. And one of them's relatively new. And it's the skyline. First of all, the skyline it omits the reality of the fog that constantly overhangs the city. So you get to actually see the skyline. And this gives you an idea of how massive the city that you're in is, which is new information for the player.
Mm.
And then I was talking about how like, oh yeah, like in the beginning, it was like a small port settlement in like the first painting. And then in the second one is like the city had expanded and you don't know what the buildings are, but there's only like 3 to 4 story buildings. And you imagine those are significant buildings. They're important. They're old. You know what I mean? Those are probably like, those are the only 3 towers within the city, so to speak. And then you get to the modern day painting and those get lost in the sea that is the city as it has expanded. More buildings, more towers, and things like that have been expanded upon on the city. But those buildings still exist in those paintings. And so like that, even that's just a little hook of like, yeah, go explore the buildings. I have no idea what those buildings are, but I would make them important when my players go to see them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like all of that was just fucking just random. My player wanted to do something while everyone was asleep. And so I had them do some rolls and I described this scene, this place that they went to, and then what they found within it, which explained a little bit more of the world. And like, that's just canon now in my world. I had never thought about those things before, but now that's how it is.
I mean, the like Lord's Fall was a lot of that too, was just like, granted, I didn't, a lot of the times I didn't come up with the improvisation on the spot. Sure. I gave myself that like week between sessions. Sure. That's when I would come up with it. And usually also it was like either the night before or the day of the session was when I actually, the ideas would be cooking around in my head and then I would put them to paper either the night before or the day of the session. But like when I first built that world, it was just kind of like, I think I was looking at like France of like, oh, what is the density of cities and like major cities in France? And I kind of look at like a French map and I kind of built that out. And I've built my own version of a world, like a part of a continent. And I was like, okay, cool. Here's a bunch of cities, blah, blah, blah. And I remember like looking at that and like starting to write it down and go, this is way too much. This is way too dense. So I literally cut like the city amount in like half.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I had like 20 something cities on my map. I was like, no, it's going to be, it's like 10 or 13. I was like, 3 of them are going to be major cities. It's going to be these ones. And then I have a couple of bigger cities. And then the rest are like villages and hamlets. They're like smaller places that players can visit. And I just roughly looked at like Google and like, what are the population of a hamlet? What's the population of a whatever. So I had really rough ideas of like what these cities were. You guys are starting in this one. This is a major city.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started building that out as much as I wanted to and exploring, you know, how the city was built, how it was run and whatever, because that's where my players were going to be.
Sure.
And then, you know, again, we've said this in other episodes, the first session, my character or my players decided to just eject everything that I was setting up, and they decided to go their own way with everything. I was like, God damn it!
To cities that you hadn't written out as much.
Yeah.
So I learned that in G&G as well.
Yeah.
I think I had like fucking 27 cities or something like that because I didn't know where you guys were going to start. And then I wrote a bunch of things like population. I think I wrote the population, mayor, sheriff for each town. One thing maybe that was going on. What criminals, if any, would be in the town, level of lawlessness within the town, because Wild West, city population, type of architecture. I wrote down like notes of like, oh, it's like, you know, Victorian houses and shit like that, whatever. And then you guys started playing and you started going to towns, and I was just like, you know, at this point in the campaign, it feels like going to a lawless town would be cool. So now it's a lawless town, and I just never looked at my notes.
Yeah.
And I've kind of learned from that, like, when I improv something, I remember it forever.
Sure.
When I prep something, I hardly ever have the time mid-session to look at my notes anyways.
Sure.
So, like, a lot of what I write for myself when I do prep is just quick guides. It's like talking about the books, all I would do, because, like, I gave more information. But when I wrote these books, I would just write like a chapter title for like, say, 5 chapters.
Sure.
And then a sentence about what that chapter is about. And that's really easy to look at while playing. Like, oh, this chapter is on, and just as the example I gave earlier, the dwarves first arriving in the world. And then chapter 2 is them moving into the mountains. Chapter 3 is them moving into the lowlands. And like, just that little bit. That's all I wrote for my prep. And then when my players ask me about it, I'm like, oh, yeah. And I just start spinning this yarn. Based off that one sentence, I turn it into like 10 minutes worth of improv based off that one sentence. That's way more accessible for you as a DM. And like, while it's really, really cool, and it is a really fun thing to do, especially if you have the time to fully flesh out and write. And if you're someone that has really great retention skills, maybe it works for you. To fully flesh out and write every little detail about every person in every city, and the city itself, and the origins, and the history. That's great. But for me, I learned that I never look at any of those notes anyways. And I just improv over my own notes, completely contradicting them. And everything I improv, I remember. And I take notes of my improv as well. So I now just write quick guides, and then my worlds become my worlds as I play through them.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to do, I might have talked about this already, but one thing I'm really interested in doing right now is I have like 3, technically 4, but I wouldn't do that one. I have like 4 really prevalent worlds that I'm currently playing within. And because my worlds expand when I play in them, and because I want to post more games anyways, I want to get more tables going. I think what I'm going to do in the near future is I'm just going to post up mini campaigns, like 6-session mini campaigns, but I'm going to do them within my world, just in different locations of my world, and then use that as exploring different parts of my world in order to expand upon the lore. Because like I said, I remember what I improv, right? So when I go to a place, I have a city called Underhaven in one of my worlds. one of my groups went to Underhaven, to the Undercity of Underhaven. Think like Underdark, right? Kind of. And I improv'd it. Everything that they saw when they were in the Undercity, I improv'd it. And then months later, I had another group go down into the Undercity, because a lot of my games have a lot of freeform to them. They decided to go down there, and I had an idea of what was down there and how things operated down there, how it worked, who was down there. So, like, with my way of improving to give my worlds breath, I kind of want to just start running mini campaigns within my world, just in various little sprinkling little places, starting with the priority being like the most important cities and whatnot, and just play through them. And then whatever I improv, that's just canon now. That's just what it is in my world.
Oh, like using it to explore the full aspect of your world.
Yeah, not necessarily the story that they're playing, but the places that they're playing and how the places run and how they feel and how I describe them and things like that.
Is the goal to like unify all the worlds, or to just
no, not necessarily, but like say I have this one world and my campaign has only been to 2 of the cities, right? Through a long form campaign.
Oh, but
the rest of the world is kind of barren.
Yeah.
The rest of the world is kind of barren until they get to those places, and then I'll improv them, and they feel great when I improv them with them. But just as a fun way to expedite that, find different groups and put them in different parts of my map intentionally for little mini campaign stories as a way for me to explore and improv through my world to better understand my own world.
I'm actually curious because I know Gray, you have like, at least we've talked about it, where like your world is this place that's always exists, or like that you always kind of play in the same space, in the same world.
Mm-hmm.
You have places that are like solidified. Do you rely on your memory of it, or does your improv override things that you've written?
Thankfully, I haven't had to go back to many places in my games. Usually each campaign kind of goes to a place, and then that might be like the main city. So I don't have to worry about overriding things too much. In general, if it has a name on my map, I know what it's supposed to be like.
Sure.
So if you like, oh, what's this place? Oh, this place is this. It's kind of like this, that, and I'll get like real world analogs and stuff.
You try your best to memorize what's happening in that city and what that city is.
Yeah, I do the same.
So like, the main city in the central part of the human area is Light's Watch. I know what that's like. It's very church-driven, militaristic paladins. There's a lot of trade. There's a lot of there's a big like wealth disparity here and there and stuff like that.
To what level of degree?
What do you mean?
Do you remember your writing, your notes, your prep on those places? Is it more like the overview quick guide like I'm talking about, or is it like super hyper detailed?
It depends for the place. So like the capital cities, there's detail, like down to like, this is how the government here works. This place has a council. This place has a like Vatican-esque church governance setup. This place has a king and his advisor. This place has what would you call it? There's like the leader who runs the country, and then there's the leader who sort of influences the societal aspect of things.
Like a modern human equivalent, like a duke, or like a
I guess a duke.
I was trying to think of the person who would lead the societal stuff. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, something like that. And then this place has like, they don't have a real like elected leader, but their leader is whom they believe to be the son of their old king from back when the elves rebelled in the lower left peninsula.
Shit, what do you call that? That's like kind of like the king, like the king of England.
Kinda.
Yeah, where it's like it's a figurative head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this place, they have a de facto leader, but they don't actually do anything. They're just kind of like that legend over there that sits in the forest. And this place has 2 islands, and then one island's ruled by a king, the other island's ruled by a queen, but they're the same governance. Mm-hmm. And so I know like things like that, like down to the nitty gritty and how the succession works, how their history came out. And then when it comes to places that I haven't played a lot, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's just the quick guide. I know what
Sure.
these kind of things are. Like if you go to this town in between these two capital cities, oh yeah, this place is like the breadbasket of the area. You know, they're farmers, they do those stuff, and it's a mix of both. It just depends specifically on where you are.
So
Sure.
to his question of, do you improv over your notes, like expanding on that idea? Places, you said that you don't go back to places, right?
Not usually.
In games where you're over here at this place and these people have never been to this place over here, but in a different game, someone was over there, you played over there. How much does that now influence your current campaign? Like, how much do you find yourself like talking about what's going on over there, or what's happened over there, or what you may have improved over there?
Depends on the time frame. If sometimes there are retcons, just outright, like I've developed more stuff and I decided this is cooler, or this is more reasonable, or like if the players did something over there in like a previous campaign, that stuff will stay the same. It might change a little bit, just to fix timelines and stuff, but.
So there's some amount of editing. Like if your players are over in this space and they've played in that space and you came up with the story, and then you have this other group and they either hear about or they travel to that area. By the time that happens, you are okay with like, even though I said this in the game, I improv this in this moment, or I had this base notes when we played the game, and as we played that part, it's like, actually, let me correct a couple of these things to kind of make everything fit a little bit cleaner into the world.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually my intention with the mini campaigns that I'm talking about running in my world, is like, I'm using it as an excuse for me to play in those locations.
Yeah.
I don't really like, I could play, you guys know, I like to play like grittier, more serious campaigns, but like, even if it ends up being like, I get a table that wants to run it kind of goofy and fun, I would play that, but then, I would go back in my mind and edit it and like, well, this is how the place really is, which is still similar. Like the things that I improved heavily will influence what that location is. I could actually give an example of that. My Saturday campaign has turned into a very silly campaign, but I'm playing in that world in 2 other campaigns, and they're much more. Both of them are more serious than this one. And I've obviously leaned into the goofiness of my Saturday campaign. And that has obviously influenced the world around them and what's going on and blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, for these other 2 campaigns, the way I've described that city in my Saturday campaign overall is the same. That part is canon. But like, the way that the mayor acts or who is the mayor and things like that part I am retconning and editing and all of those things. And my intention with the mini campaign is to do the same thing. It doesn't really matter what happens in the campaign. I'm just at the table to have fun, but it gives me an idea of what that place is like.
I'm trying to think, because like a lot of the times when I would run into, or like when I play in that space, part of why I like spending so much time pre-writing before playing the session is I like to do some of that exploration of like, kind of like what you talked about, like, oh, what is the name of that figurehead and then you have like the separations of powers of like, there's a king or there's a ruler, and then how does that ruler manage these areas and whatever. Because I like researching it, I like looking into it, and just for myself to have to build that back catalog of knowledge of being able to like, oh, there's 20 million versions, or not 20 million, but there's thousands of ways that like humans have ruled themselves, and like, how would this particular
20 million?
Yeah. And so like, how would you, what is the combination and characters, and how would they play with each other, and like, cool, I could building on those layers, and I choose one and I explore it in much more depth because I've chosen one path and I'm building this thing. So I like sitting with myself and writing that out and exploring it. And it's what I was going to say is I've run into into issues when we played our Lord's Fall, our game, which is my players ran into things where I didn't have the thing written out. And because I was so careful and so at the time, so mindful and overly careful with my story, that I didn't want to have improv override the thing that I had pre-written. I wanted the thing to be pre-written out and like already weaved into things where I would bail on sessions, where I would pin sessions. I was like, hey, let's stop here and let's pick this up in a week, because I wanted to write it all in. Yeah. And I wanted to have the web written.
And have time to check your notes and things like that.
Yeah. So like I definitely have been way more shy and not wanting to do that, like the rewriting part.
To be fair, I still do a lot of that prep, even though I don't use it, because it puts me in the mindset. So like I do write the details of my cities, of like, okay, these are what all of the cities are. This is how the overarching government is. This is how the local governments are, even down to like the idea of what the architecture looks like and things like that. I write all of that, and then I forget most of it, but I've still done that. You know what I mean? Like I still have those somewhere deep in my brain floating around, and I still have the general idea when you're walking into a place what it is like. I had written the Undercity at some point of Underhaven, and I wrote it in detail. I remember none of that, and when I knew my players were going there, I didn't look at my notes, and then I just made shit up and improv'd, but it is similar to what I had in my writings. So like I still do a lot of that writing, especially when like writing for sessions, like stories of what's going to happen in the sessions. I don't ever check my notes of what I intended to happen in a session, but I do write out in general what I want to happen in the session, or what's happening, what the environment's like, who's there, and things like that. And then I either take none of that to the table and then improv, and it's just whatever sticks, and however I can make it interesting, I make it interesting. Or sometimes I'll write that like quick guide as well. But I do like writing it out. I like writing it out because it puts me in the mindset of what something is supposed to be. For example, I remember none of the notes of my city, Arcadia. I don't remember anything that I wrote down. I can't picture my notes. No sentence sticks out in my head. But I know it's like a heavy magic place. I know that you can find magical items there that are above uncommon rarity. I know that there's supposed to be magic schools there. I know that it's nestled in mountains. I believe it's supposed to be like stone architecture. Like I have a general idea of what that place is supposed to be. And if my campaign ever goes there, I have the foundation, because I wrote that at some point. I have the foundation to improv.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I think back on it, I don't remember fully, but I think back on it, I think my pacing was so much slower because I didn't allow myself to do a lot of that improv. Like those first few sessions of Lord's Fall, I had a map of the city, and I had pre-written out like where the stores were.
Yeah.
And like who ran the store, what the name of the store was, what the inventory of the store was.
Jesus.
Like I had a whole list of like, this is what they have in stock. This is the price of everything they have in stock. Yeah. This is like the look of it. Like I had so much. I eventually started to give myself some leeway where I had like blanks. I had like a shop owner and like some rough outlines of what could and couldn't be at the shop, giving myself some leeway to add stuff or take away stuff. But there was no name attached to it. I had like a separate list of names, separate locations. And then what I would do is when you guys asked for certain things, I would kind of put the pieces together and then solidify the spot in the city that it was in based off where you guys were. So like,
I do that in
I would
my
write
mind
into the spot that you were.
I do that in my mind, and I think it loses my players, to be honest. I really want a better city map creation tool, because like depending on the city, it's really hard to describe. When it's a normal medieval fantasy city, it's hard to describe it and make it interesting unless there's something cool going on. And I feel like in my mind, I describe it, but then like a lot of my players don't pay attention anyways. So then like I'll describe it and then they have no idea where they are. And then it's like, we're just going to go to that place. And then I'll just remind them of how long it takes to get there. In my mind, there's a map, right? I have a top-down map in my brain of what this place looks like. But I don't know how to draw, and map-making tools suck. And kind of like we were talking pre-show about like, because there are tools out there, but I don't like the map generators. And the reason why I don't like the map generators is because I have this picture in my mind, and I want it to be that, because that place is really cool. And then if I use a generator, it's just a bunch of boxes in a weird shape, and it's no longer unique or cool. And yes, it's cool for me to be able to put a pin in the map and be like, this is where the magic shop is. This is where the library is. Yes, that's neat, and it helps players conceptualize or understand distances and shit like that. But also, in my mind, it takes away from being able to fantasize the city, make the city more fantastical.
Sure.
Right? Because now you're just dealing with this mundane map from a map generator. So I still just improv and theater of mind by maps, but I get the feeling that it doesn't work out 100% well, especially in groups that just don't pay as much attention, where they don't have that picture of a cool city in their mind.
Yeah.
They just ask me where things are, and then I tell them how long it takes to get there.
I think right now my approach would be, I think I would only give a map if requested. If my players...
Did you give a city map?
Yeah.
Did you have city maps for Lord Fall? I don't recall.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it using generators?
The first one wasn't. I think every city after that was a generator.
Second question. The city that we went to where we wanted to do all of the terrorist attacks.
Sure.
That one was like super fantastical, multi-layered. There was like an underground section and shit.
It was a 3-layered city.
Yeah. How did you use a generator for that?
Each layer was a generator.
Just a separate map for each layer.
So at that point, when I made that city, the idea of what the city was like, I think I had this concept of like a historical event that led to the city. It was a city of artists. So like the way that it worked was it was mostly just exported skills, because that's what the city, how they became famous. It was before it was its own leader of its own nation, like its own kingdom. Sure. And then it got taken over. And then that historical event was like, cool. But, what do you do with the 3-tiered city? It's going to represent something. It's like, it's probably religious. So it's a very religious city. And so I just kind of kept playing with those ideas of what it could be. But when it came to like, because you guys really liked, or at least some of the players always requested maps for like what the cities look like or where the places you were. So I did create a map, but my lessons learned of the first city that I made, which is it just took a long time to like sit down and draw out bunch of little squares, and to like draw where the roads were, and to like make it look not just like lines and squares.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just used the city generator, and I just used the city generator, and I edited and I tweaked it to be just the 3 layers. And then I would put like, there's a thing that kind of drives through the center. And so then I modified that. And like, there's certain little modifications I made, but for the most part, it was a city generator. It was based off of a different concept that layered onto it. But
I wish there were better tools out there. There is one that I know that exists. It's just a little bit out of my price range. And also it's relatively new. So there's not many videos for me to confirm whether it is or is not what I want it to be. But what I'd love it to be is if you could do like vector drawing. And then, like, you know how when you do vector drawing, you have to, like, there's the outline and then there's the fill?
Yeah. Fuck yeah. I would love to.
If the fill was just options, where, like, here's my vector drawing, the fill is forest. And then it just reasonably places the forest. You could do the density that you want and whatnot. You could have another vector drawing and be like water, and you could do your rivers that way. And then you could have another vector drawing and be like, these are buildings, and then it would just do that. You know what I mean?
Back when we were doing
it would
more
fill
of the,
in your vectors with what you want.
But back when we were doing more of the 3D map stuff, at one point I wanted to play with doing that in Blender.
Yeah.
Where I could I just draw curves and then I can change the display on the curve, the plane that would go on. I would change the thickness so you could determine the thickness of your road, then just display a texture that would be like cobblestone or, some form of like asphalt or dirt or grass.
Well,
and then you can,
in my mind, it's not textures, it's objects, because spacing would be important. It's populating.
Yeah.
Right? Populate with objects. So this vector fill with population of building objects.
If we take it, at least in my mind, it would be first doing it 2D. And then once you have that, you can then start doing 3D generation on it, because you could just generate instance objects on those planes. And eventually you'd be able to just create these 3D maps that are relatively close to the idea you had in your head. But
so when we make money, we just start making D&D tools.
Make a D&D tool that isn't garbage.
It's literally just make D&D
not
tools that are
like
exactly what we would want them to be.
That needs arcane knowledge that was written in like the mid 2000s, or something that's written in Chromium and works off HTML5.
Dude,
Java.
Another tool that I would absolutely want as a DM would be, and it kind of exists, but not in the way that I want. It's one of Hero Forge is one of the most popular ones used. Two things. One, it is also extremely pirated. It's crazy how pirated. I have people that come to me about being super anti-pirating, and so they whittle down what tools they are open to be used at our table. And they're that's a big, drawing in the sand for them. And then they steal from Hero Forge. It's wild. I don't understand why it's so okay to steal from that company. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
And their way of processing things is pretty well laid out of this is a product that you're supposed to buy, not just screenshot your. So
what's
it's
Hero Forge?
Hero Forge is think like a video game, create a character, but it's 3D, and then you're creating a 3D character. But it's a miniature, and then the primary point of the service is to pay them to print it and paint it. But cheaper package, you could just have them print it and send it to you. Cheaper package, you can just have them give you the STL files and print it yourself if you have a printer at home. And then the cheapest package is you can go into a
Windows Shift S
photo. Hold on. The cheapest package that they actually provide is you can go into a photo mode and just purchase a picture of your character.
Sure.
And what everybody does is just screenshot their screen. Yeah. So one of the coolest tools that I would want to make, and I'll show it to you guys. There's a website. It's called Character Creator or something like that. But anyways, similar to that, the one that I would want would be of whatever TTRPGs that we would release. I would love to make basically a character creator, like a video game character creator, where we would have either us or pay an artist to draw different objects that would be important. Let's talk D&D for a moment. So the different species and variations and the ability to shift and transform them a little bit. 2D, I'm just talking 2D.
Sure.
And then the ability to put on hats and shirts and pants and things like that. All of the common D&D items. So swords, flaming swords, staffs, wands, things like that. And then you could, and maybe a couple of poses. I don't know. But yeah, just a video game character creator for D&D. And I know there's some that exist. Hero Forge is the most prominent one, but Hero Forge is also very much within the style of a printable mini.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas maybe we want a more realistic style, or maybe want a more cartoony style. In my mind, I'm thinking 2D portraits.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. That would be a tool
cool.
that I would absolutely, I would think that would be awesome. And then if we were playing G&G, you could have very G&G related things like cowboy stuff and whatnot.
You know, it's funny. Like I would love, again, if we had the time and the opportunity to be able to do something like that. You know what my first thought was? Because I can't help myself because I love Easter eggs. I would love to be able to, like, you know, you said flaming sword. Like, the character has a flaming sword, and you can put the sword in hand. You know, a lot of options. People like putting their sword on their back. I would love it if we had, like, you could put your sword on your back. Cool. And there's, like, a option to put the flame on the sword. So you click the flame on. As soon as you click flame on, if there's, like, a check in the code to be, you know, flame sword on, is sword on back, and then put if sword is on back. If that's true, it just kind of locks you out of the UI and plays a quick little like animation of the character slowly being enveloped by fire and then just becomes dust. Like real quick, just like the and then just dust.
The only
and smoke.
option on screen is create new character.
But you click it and it just takes you back to where you were. It just like resets it or whatever. I was like, to me, that's just like to have fun with your
Yeah,
the people
that's a funny Easter
who are
egg.
messing with this thing. It's just like, yeah, that's a fun little Easter egg to have. Like you do that. Like if you could do a code check, so as soon as you click it, it just does that quick code check and then just locks you out and plays a little thing where your character burns.
That's why we can't do nothing simple here at U1.
Never.
Of course. Yeah.
That's why we don't produce anything. It's why none of our actual plays have come out. It's why none of our books have come out.
You know what? I was gonna argue against
I want to
it,
make my own font.
but I am the problem. Yes, font, art. Yeah. No. It is me. I'm the problem.
Well, I think you being a problem is a good place to leave off on the show.
I mean, it was my idea for this episode, so at least to do it this early in the process.
We'll see. If anybody enjoyed this is also episode 32, so our post show is going to be free, and it's going to be more of the same thing, of just topic listly speaking. So stay tuned. But anyways, otherwise, thank you for listening to this episode of Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones. Once again, I am Sav. You can find me over at startplaying.games if you would like to play in a campaign with me. I run paid games over on that website. And if there are no games currently available on my profile, feel free to reach out and make a custom request.
I'm Nix. Please like and subscribe to the video if you haven't seen already. There's little your name here's on the supporters walls, and also at the end card there's a little like place for your name. So if you want to support us on our Patreon or website, you get to put your name somewhere on the show. You know, that'd be cool, right?
Give us your name.
Give us your name. I need your true name.
Your name, your ID.
Yeah, your social security number here.
Yeah, that's different. We won't post that publicly. We'll have it though. I want to keep it.
If I say the right bad word, the UK might not let you watch us.
Speaking of which, Gray.
Hi, I'm Graythorn. I sometimes stream games on Thursdays. I probably will be starting a new game soon.
Your players are now -2 level babies.
Don't give me ideas. Gotta fight their way out the womb.
You do a shark, a pregnant shark thing where like you see your siblings. You're in combat. Roll initiative.
You're hungry, and you know that they're hungry too. And the only food around is you.
Everybody, you don't tell them any of this, and it's like, everybody write me a monk. Unarmed combat only, monks, no equipment. Cool. Session 1. You guys are in combat, and then you just have this whole combat where you just meat grinder until they have their final characters, and then you just go through this very big narrative description of their characters being birthed.
Well, they'd be finding a static object in that case, right? And the first one to get through that wall wins.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Probably be streaming that. If you care about Warcraft at all, I might be streaming my raids and Miss the Pandaria.
Sweet.
So,
Nice.
whatever.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.